Hello and welcome to the SportAid Global Report, the first in a series of 6 programmes we'll be bringing you between April and September this year. Each programme features a different continent, with stories about sport, music and people's lives from all over the world. But the SportAid Global Report also focuses on the needs of children, looking at ways in which you can help, both in your own country and abroad, to fight hunger, poverty and disease, and in doing so help save children's lives. This month's programme comes from Latin America, where in the past few weeks we've been filming in Trinidad and Tobago and Brazil. But first, before our sports story, which comes from Brazil, let me tell you more about SportAid 88 and events being planned all over the world this year. In May 1986, legendary Sudanese runner Omar Khalifa lit a flame from a campfire in the heart of drought-stricken Africa. He carried that flame on an epic journey, a symbol of hope and a demand for action to help the starving and the dying. Presidents and prime ministers waited in line to receive him. Step by step, Omar Khalifa ran the world, until at last, his journey over, he gave the signal that started the world running in the race against time. It was a single moment in history, a moment when simultaneously nearly 20 million people in 89 countries joined the race and helped raise more than $35 million for African famine relief. And the money poured in, and in Africa the trucks began to roll, bringing food, water and medicine to the victims of the African famine. In 1988 the race will continue. SportAid 88 is about a new effort to help save lives, not just in Africa, but throughout the world where children are in need, to draw attention to the horrifying fact that nearly 15 million children die unnecessarily every year. SportAid 88, using a global network of television and satellite communications, aims to involve all 218 countries and inhabited territories in the next Race Against Time. And from 1 to 20 million or more, everyone who joins the race will receive their own unique global race number, a personal symbol of their participation in this event to help secure a future for the children of the world. SportAid 88 will be led by children, for the benefit of children, and supported by all those who join the Race Against Time and come together on Sunday, September 11th, 1988 to help change the world. If there's one thing that fires the people of Latin America, it's their passion for football. And nowhere are they more passionate about it than in Brazil. But it's not just a game. It comes from the heart, not the head. It's everybody's impossible dream, a language common to both rich and poor, black and white. Football is perhaps the only way to make it from the bottom to the top, bringing pride and a sense of achievement to those who have little hope of anything else. Some of Brazil's major football clubs have introduced training schemes for slum children, giving them not only the chance to learn and play the game properly, but also to take part in social and educational programs. And this is the ultimate dream. 2 hours of football at the Maracana Stadium, the biggest in the world. This is really the food of life, the stuff that all those dreams are made of. No matter where you go in the world, there's music. One of the subjects that the Sport Aid Global Report will be looking at during its travels is the way that music is so much a part of everyone's life, their history and their culture. And there's probably no better example of that than Trinidad and Tobago. Once a year, as in Brazil and many other Latin American countries, everything grinds to a halt and carnival takes over. From the youngest to the oldest, as they say in Trinidad and Tobago, the spirit of carnival is in all of us.
Mr. DJ. Boy, it's my business. Just give me the time to wake up. Boy, it's my business. My friends are falling on the ground. Boy, it's my business. I want them dead to sing along. Boy, it's my business. Music, hey, music, music. Oh, everyone high on the music, huh? She walk out and everybody follow. They get party on the road. People gone right the road up the bread. How about you? Hey, look, they don't belong to sleepy. Imagine mesmerized and in port of Spain. A million people singing the same refrain. Beating up the tune like a roadman's song. Hey, the rubber is wailing in the drum. Can I buy the DJ, bring down, play, Mr. DJ. Just give me the chance to break away. Look, I want to drop and pants and hold on the ground. I want the blood to carry on. Bring in music, music. See everyone high on the music. Your turn, your turn. Everybody say yo! Yo! Alright! This is get on time. Right.
In 1985, the world was shocked by the scale of the famine in Ethiopia and by the terrible suffering of the African people. Today, the suffering continues, but not just in Africa. In fact, there's a special need amongst children all over the world, a need that few people realise exists, and that need takes many different forms. Sport Aid 88 is trying to do something about that need. An important part of the Sport Aid Global Report will be our focus on those children, not just on their suffering, but on the way in which our help really can make a difference. The relentless scale of poverty in parts of Latin America is truly staggering. Nowhere is that more dramatically highlighted than in Brazil. Beyond the glamour of the beach life of Rio, there is a story of appalling deprivation. And it's the children who are most desperately at risk. More than 36 million live in need, 7 million of them abandoned to survive by themselves on the streets. Out of a population of 130 million, 90 million just do not have enough food to eat, many of them living in the sprawling, makeshift slums of cities such as Rio and Sao Paulo. The sheer size of the problem has now become one of the government's main areas of concern. Both government and private organisations are trying to bridge Brazil's huge hunger gap, but putting food into the mouths of 90 million people is not an easy job. In their desperation, many organisations have taken to occupying half-finished buildings, like this cathedral. Its underground car park provides temporary food and warmth for a few of the children of the streets. But it's at night that the stark reality of the problem becomes even more apparent. These children are only a short step away from a life of drugs and prostitution, a life with little or no hope of anything else. Societies such as the Brazilian Red Cross are trying to help, offering alternatives and a future to children of poor families, providing shelter, food, medicine, and, just as importantly, education. It is in support of organisations like this that the effort and money of Sport Aid 88 can begin to make a difference in children's lives, but there's still a long way to go. This is Christina. There are 36 million others like her in Brazil today. next month we'll be in Africa, where the people of Nigeria and Egypt will be part of our next Sport Aid Global Report. We hope you'll join us.